Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Framerate is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of Framerate is brought to you by ProXPN. ProXPN is a virtual private network that allows you to use the internet the way it should be, anonymous and unfiltered. For 20% off your new account, go to proxpn.com/twit and use the code FR20. Welcome to Framerate, episode 136. This is the show that thinks you should be able to watch the stuff you love when you want, how you want, and whatever device you darn well please. And we aim to give you the info to help you make that happen. I'm Tom Merritt, and joining me as my new co-host for the week, Nicole Spagnolo.
I feel like I need spiky hair.
Yes, you need spiky hair. You need to have 3 daughters and an invisible wife, and then you'll fit right in.
Right, perfect. Great to be here.
Brian Brushwood, of course, has never existed. I don't know why you people keep asking about him. There's no such man. Scott Johnson was our co-host last week, and he's no longer with the show. Maybe we'll bring him back next week. I don't know.
We love Scott.
Yeah, we are going to bring him back next week because Aereo's coming to Salt Lake City. And if anyone believes in this imaginary Brian Brushwood, I'll just make up a story and say, okay, I don't know, maybe he's in meetings for some big new project of his and he couldn't make it and he's really sorry or something like that.
He's like a mythical unicorn or something like that. You know, we think he exists.
He's a multicorn because he has more than one.
Many.
All right. Well, Nicole, thank you for filling in. We really appreciate it.
I love TV. I love streaming. This is the perfect show for me. I can't wait to talk about all the fun stuff.
Yes, awesome. If you don't know Recommendals, it's a segment on the morning stream. Used to be a segment on one of my favorite podcasts ever, The Movielicious. And now it's broken out as its own little thing at recommendals.com. So if you're looking for things to watch on streaming, mostly Netflix, right?
Yeah, I dive into Netflix. I dive into Amazon Prime. I try to go to all the places that are convenient and easy. But sometimes, the stuff doesn't float to the top. You got to dig deep. And that's what I tend to do.
Check it out, recommendals.com. Let's start with the big story.
This just in, the big story.
Moffat Research founder Craig Moffat put out a report early last week, midday Tuesday, that evidence of cord cutting is actually becoming more real. This is disturbing because pay TV subscriptions have been going down, but the pay TV provider's been saying, no, it's just economics. The housing market is in the crapper, so nobody's moving into new houses. So, of course, we're not going to get any new subscriptions. It's just the economy. But you know what? They're down 360,000 subscribers over the last year, a decline of 0.3%. And Nicole, the housing market's actually starting to come back.
Yeah, I don't know what market he's talking about because the market around here, I see houses going up for sale and then they are sold within a month or so. So people are moving. A
year ago, the cable companies tried to explain their decline by the housing market. Now, Craig Moffat's saying, hey, guys, your market's declining still. Yeah. And you can't pin it on the housing market anymore.
Yeah, and I can see this. This is honestly I think it's great news because it's showing statistically that this is happening. It's not just a little blip. people are cutting the cord. And in fact, we were talking before the show, I'm going to be one of them soon. So I'm just waiting for that subscription to run out.
So you're going to creatively be able to watch HBO Go, and otherwise just go over the air. Are you going to do a DVR off your over the air?
You know, I was looking at that, and maybe, I don't know. It's one of those options. I'm kind of focusing on just the streaming services right now, and maybe later on I'll add to it.
I kind of feel like the DVR is just going to be old fashioned, like managing your own recordings when you can get everything in the cloud eventually. Like, why bother?
But
seems like a hassle.
But I think there are people out there that can't let it go. For instance, my mother-in-law, she can't let her TiVo go. She won't let go of the TiVo because she misses the sounds of it. So,
isn't that funny that like the TiVo is now the device that the old-fashioned just can't let go because of, the old ways are best using a TiVo.
I told her I'll just come over and go boop, 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 boop for her.
While she's watching Netflix on a Roku.
Exactly.
Decreases are actually most significant for satellite TV providers. Dish and DirecTV lost the most. It's not as bad for Comcast or Time Warner. This is not good for the cable TV industry, and it shows why we are seeing more and more of them trying TV everywhere subscriptions. We see more and more talk about adapting to that cord culture. I think everybody knows the writing's on the wall.
Yeah. Why do you think? I was going to say, why do you think it is between the cable versus the satellite? Do you think the cable companies are saying, "Oh, stay with us. We'll give you, free internet for 6 months or something like that"? You think they're trying to keep them a little bit?
Well, Dish actually has an internet subscription arm, and that saw an increase. So I don't think that's a really good suggestion, but it doesn't look like that's it. My guess is satellite is more of a pain, right?
Yeah.
You have to get somebody to come out and put something on your roof. So if people aren't really wanting to they're like, oh, maybe I just won't have a bother with having cable anymore. They may get talked into like, okay, the cable's already here. Just turn it on and give me the box versus like, yeah, we'll come out and put a dish on your house, forget it. I don't
ruin your roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother had that happen where the dish messed up his roof. So you always have to factor in for stuff like that, whereas the cables just plug it in, rewire some stuff.
I've been a DirecTV subscriber for a long time now. I think since 2002, 2001. Actually, before that, maybe. And I've never had any problems with it. It's always worked fine. I haven't had any like, oh, I had a storm and it went out. None of those horror stories that people talk about, knock on wood. But even I'm starting to feel like, you know what? I'm down to the very basic package of DirecTV and HBO. And really, I'm only doing it for HBO. I could get everything up, pretty much everything else I want to watch somehow, legally even.
And that's exactly the boat I'm in as well. I just think that, eventually it's just going to go away and then we're going to find other ways to get our TV. So should be interesting to see where all this goes. Feel like we're in a defining moment and we're just kind of waiting for it to break.
Because we on this show particularly, we've been talking about cord cutting for a long time and whether people were actually doing it. And of course, there's lots of people in our audience who are doing it all the time. They're talking about it all the time. In fact, we'll get to it later, but I started a Google Plus page for people who are actually taking our chicken challenge and calling their cable company to see what kind of deals they can get or potentially just cut the cord. But there's been controversy over whether our little niche audience is just a little niche audience, right? The same amount of people who use Linux or something like that. Not an overwhelming wave that's going to drive out Windows or in this case cable TV.
Well, and I think you talked about it last episode, the introduction of profiles to Netflix. I personally saw a huge uptick in the usage of my Netflix account with my family. Because I shared it with my family, and at the time I only needed, I didn't hit those 2 device maximums, but then all of a sudden my mother-in-law, she's like, I can't get on, and my mom said, I can't get on. So I had to update my account to a family plan. So, and that was just from the profiles being rolled out to where now they could have a more personalized view, and so they're finding it more friendly to use that service. So
it makes a big difference. It's funny is when those profiles rolled out, I had a profile from back when we got the discs.
Right.
Yeah. And it's hilarious what it's recommending me based on probably, I don't think I've really gone in and rated and watched things off disc since I lived in Oakland. So that was before 2010.
Yeah, it was
sure.
back in 2007, 2008, I think, is when I set those profiles up. And that's what told me that profile feature was being rolled out, because I had totally forgotten I'd set them up.
It's pretty funny. And now Eileen's profile is all messed up because it's got me all over it. And it had my nephew who was staying with us for 2 months and he was watching stuff. So my profile is nice and pristine. Hers is a mess.
You sound like Mark.
Yeah.
Lucky.
All right. Let's talk about another big story, shall we?
Stop everything. It's another big story.
You know, I wanted to talk about this last week because we were so distracted with the whole CBS Time Warner fight. I went to VidCon here in Anaheim, California. It's a celebration of online video, but it's mostly associated with people who do videos on YouTube. It was started by Hank and John Green, and this was its 4th time. And they were nice enough to invite me back as a guest. So I got to hang out, walk around, see people. And if you don't know, do you know much about VidCon?
In fact, I was wanting to go this year, but I just didn't find the time off. I've been aware of it for a few years now. Last year was, I think, the first time I had heard of it, and so I was going to go this year. And it's because we do my husband and I actually have a video podcast called The Wood Whisperer, and we've been doing that since 2006. And we're finding YouTube really becoming a player. And part of my new job, I actually recently quit corporate America to start working for our business. And one of my jobs is to look at YouTube and to work with YouTube more. So I can totally see in this being a thing that more and more people are wanting to go to and be a part of.
I think the number I heard being thrown around was 14,000 people there.
Oh, wow.
And they split it between community and industry. So industry are the people who make the videos. They want to have panels about monetizing or production elements. And community are the people who watch the videos, and they're there to hang out and hear from their idols, their favorites, their stars. Last year was a big eye-opener for me because it was like a lot of people feel about podcasting. When they see like people from Frog Pants or people from Twit get not mobbed, but somebody running up and being all excited, they're like, what? What is the big deal? I don't know this person. That's how I felt last year at VidCon. All these people being mobbed by YouTube fans, I'm like, I don't even know who that is. I mean, I knew Hannah Hart, right? That was, that's about as deep as I went. This year, partly because my wife works for YouTube now, I was able to identify a little more. And there was a little less, in fact, in this GigaOM article, Liz Shannon Miller bears this out. It was a little less crazy. I did take a video of people running around chasing somebody screaming, but there was less of that. It feels like this is really maturing as a young, very young, lots of teens oriented. I don't want to know what to call it, a network or a channel or just an entertainment space.
Well, it is interesting because YouTube in and of itself is a thing, but then you have some positioning happening within YouTube where you have collections of channels coming together. So we were approached just recently to be part of a network called Collective. And it's a bunch of popular YouTube channels coming together to maybe get better ad revenue, more guidance in how you present yourself, how you distribute your videos, time frames. So YouTube is putting so much energy and work and into educating people that really want to do something on YouTube. I mean, it's almost, dare I say, a gold rush in the sense that you can start from nothing and build up an audience and build up a community. And YouTube is just giving you the tools to do it. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in. It was nice of them to have me come over there. It was really interesting. I listened to a panel on, do you need to live in LA? And it was a lot of people who actually do work in LA. And they're like, no, you don't. You need to fly here every so often, probably, if you get successful with your channel. But no, you absolutely don't. This can be done by anyone, anywhere in the world. Pretty cool.
It's
Take a quick break, and totally unrelated to our sponsor, but I was talking to somebody in the chat room before the show about cutting the cord and how sports, you can pay for something like MLB TV, but they black out local regions. So it'd be great if you had some way to have an IP address that's not in the region. So you could watch that. Anyway, want to thank our sponsor for today's show, ProXPN. ProXPN is a global virtual private network VPN provider, provides you with almost any internet connection, creates a secure encrypted tunnel through which all of your online data passes back and forth. Doesn't matter where you're connected. You can be in the coffee shop. In fact, that's a great place to use it. Coffee shop, hotel, airport, all those Wi-Fi connections are not secure. And there are lots of demonstrations about people sniffing packets, finding out your Facebook information, finding out your social networking information, even maybe getting your passwords. You want to protect yourself from that. So use a VPN. ProXPN keeps everything you do online hidden from prying eyes, disguises your physical location. They don't know where you are in the world, and gives you unfettered access to any website or online service, no matter where you travel to. You can get complete online privacy with a 512-bit connection, works via OpenVPN or PPTP. Protect yourself against things like 6 strikes rules or filters or blocks, geographical restrictions. Works on Windows and Mac, and I even use it on my phone because that OpenVPN, that PPTP, it allows you to put it on your phone. So go to proxpn.com/twit for more information and to sign up. ProXPN premium accounts are normally $9.95 a month or $74.95 for an entire year. We've got a special offer. Use the code FR20 to receive 20% off the lifetime of your account. It's less than $5 a month on the yearly plan. If you're not satisfied, you can cancel within 7 days for a full refund. Go to proxpn.com/twit and sign up with the code FR20. We thank ProXPN for their support of Frame Rate. Do you know about the segment called Slipstream?
I don't think so.
Well, see, that lovely intro gives you a hint. Yeah. It's about the streaming services that you use to get the content, get the stuff you want to watch. Got a couple of stories here. New Breaking Bad episode out yesterday. I know you're not caught up. You're like on season 1, right? Something like that.
I'm four seasons behind. So this wouldn't really help me much.
No, but
not to mention I don't live in the UK.
You also have to be in the UK, or at least, I don't know, appear to be in the UK. Oh. And then you can watch the episodes of Breaking Bad on Netflix in the UK. In fact, apparently they were up within 4 hours, well, more like 6 hours of airing in the United States. So not even like a next day situation. You could get to them pretty fast.
Would they be sleeping, though, when those went up?
Right, but if you want to watch it the next day, sometimes it's like you're waiting, like, when's it going to go up? I've had this. I bought the Top Chef season pass one year on iTunes, and I got really frustrated because I paid for this, and sometimes it would take like 2 or 3 days to show up because some technical glitch. So this is great. 6 hours. Yeah. Great for you UK people. And also just cool that a big name show like that is available on a streaming service. They're actually billing it as one of the Netflix shows in the UK now.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I love all of the focus on TV that Netflix is doing. So this is promising for other shows, and hopefully they'll start doing. Do they do that with any shows in the U.S.? I haven't really noticed.
They did it with The Killing.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I don't know if they did. They did it for the UK with The Killing. The only show that they did it with in the United States was Lilyhammer, but it wasn't a next day airing thing, and it wasn't that hotly anticipated. It was originally shown on a Norwegian network. And then Netflix brought it to the United States.
And Netflix just kind of dumps their shows into Netflix. Right. And do you think that this
That's a good point. They don't. This isn't a season dump. They're making you wait.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that we're losing some of that anticipation and build for certain shows with this kind of new format of just dumping, 13 episodes in and saying,
watch what you want? That a lot. I think it's fine. Yeah. I think if that's what Netflix wants to do, I don't think it hurts the show because Netflix is not trying to get you to goose the numbers, right? If you're trying to build like a weekly habit where everybody talks around the water cooler, that's fine. Netflix just wants you to subscribe. So
that's true.
If you got people who were not that interested or forgot about a show by doling it out slowly, it isn't the Netflix behavior. What Netflix wants you to do is spend as much time watching Netflix as possible so you don't ever think you want to cancel.
I never want to cancel.
Binge watching kind of plays into that. Me either.
But I kind of do miss the build. Like I almost want there to be a service that I plug in. These are the shows that I want. Now dole them out for me and almost schedule my viewing of this program. That would be great. I wouldn't have to think about it.
Yeah, that's no. I wanted Netflix to be the repository of all television when they first launched the streaming service, and it sounds like they don't want to do that. They just want to be a place for lots of cool stuff, but I still like it. We're not going to get Aereo. You might get it in Arizona. I don't know. It's not coming to California, Nevada, because we're in the district that had a court case that's going to prevent it for a long time, at least until the Supreme Court weighs in. But they are coming to Dallas and Miami. Are you thinking about moving to Dallas or Miami? Yeah.
No, I'll just wait till they come to Phoenix and give it a try then. Especially, December is quite a while away. Maybe by then they'll have it here, and I'll definitely try it out. I mean, we have an HD antenna on the house right now, and we get over the air channels locally. So this would be great for a service.
I just reset up my Simple TV. And I have the antenna. It's pointed in the right place. I went to antennaweb.org, made sure I got it pointed in the right place. Every time I rescan my channels, I get a different lineup.
Oh, weird.
It's always one of the major broadcast networks falls off, usually ABC or NBC. CBS seems to show up every time. Fox seems to show up every time. But for some reason, like I rescan, it's like, oh, now you have NBC. I'm like, great. Okay, just need to rescan and get ABC back on. Rescan. Now you have ABC, but we don't have NBC anymore.
But they're showing up in the same places, right?
Well, yeah, they're showing up. Yeah, they're showing up on the channel list, and I haven't moved the antenna. I guess they're just faint enough that a good gusty breeze will blow them away or something. Awesome. Anyway, September 2nd for Miami, August 19th for Salt Lake City. We'll be talking to Scott Johnson about that next week. September 13th for Chicago, September 16th for Houston, and September 23rd for Dallas.
No Phoenix on there just yet, but I'll be waiting. I'll test it out.
Cox Communications is introducing a more personalized TV experience for its cable subscribers. It's a new brand called Contour, so it's separate from their normal Cox cable offering. And it's a television box and a TV guide that works like Netflix in recommending shows for you and then DVRing. I think it's like a ridiculously large DVR or something. It's about 300 hours. It's not that crazy. Oh, no, store up to 1,000 hours of standard depth, 300 hours of HD. So it's 300 hours, which is still pretty good. But they're working on an I want to see this interface. The Ad Age article makes it sound like it's amazing. DirecTV does this, though, with a little recommendation engine. And I have to admit,
yeah. I have a funny story about that. My mother-in-law was just telling me she doesn't want to think about the flight coming on. And so she puts a wish list in, and she's getting tired of getting recommendations for Flight of the Conchords.
Funny.
And that's all she wants. She just wants that one movie, but she doesn't want to have to think about it. So her recommendations
that's not very good metadata. That's
no, her recommendations are completely off, and it's just not what she's wanting right now. So maybe something like this will convince her to try it out. But then again, TiVo, right? Yeah.
Well, TiVo, or just don't even bother with cable. Forget it.
Yeah.
They're too late. Let's move on to Tube Tops. Time Warner CEO Jeff Books has said some crazy things about piracy in the past, and he's saying them again. Techdirt reports, our experience is that it leads to more paying subs. I think you're right that Game of Thrones is the most pirated show in the world. That's better than an Emmy. Really?
Yeah. I don't really think that. Really? Well, and then again,
I don't know. Maybe.
Didn't they give Emmys out to like channel recommendations for the best recommendation service?
Yeah, YouTube and Amazon both got Emmys.
Yeah. So, well, maybe he's right.
Well, and I guess if he has a point, he says piracy drives subscriptions, which people have been arguing for years. So it's heartening to hear an executive admitting that. Like, yeah, we don't like piracy. We don't want to encourage it, but we also know that those are our most passionate fans and drive subscriptions. And Emmys probably don't drive as much subscription. I mean, I'm sure they have a halo effect, but.
Do you think it's the guilt that people go, oh, I know I can get this for free over here, and this is really all I'm interested in. I'm going to go pay and get, if I'm a cord cutter, I'm going to start up my HBO subscription again. Do you really
I
think they're
wonder if
doing
it's
that?
Yeah, it's like a little PR thing, maybe in advance of providing a direct, like these are the people that will pay us when we go direct over the internet. So let's not piss them off. Let's make them our
Right.
friends by saying stuff like this. I don't know. Or maybe he's just being honest. Maybe
Yeah,
he's just,
could be.
Jeff Book speaks his mind. I don't know.
Maybe he was also in the Napster days. So wasn't that the argument for Napster too? People
Right.
buying the music.
I'm pretty sure Jeff Books was not on the side of Napster. I could be wrong. I'm just guessing when I say that. Do you use an Apple TV, Nicole?
I do. That's primarily what we use now, especially with the HBO Go app coming to the Apple TV.
I loved when they added HBO Go. I loved when they added Sky News, actually, although I don't really love Sky News all that much. Having a 24-hour news channel on there is pretty great.
Mhm.
They're adding Vivo,
And that's
the music app.
yeah. I kind of lost track of music television from MTV days, but I maybe
Think about
maybe
Vivo.
yeah,
It's actually playing music videos, not reality shows.
that's true. So,
Vivo is
I
owned by
might-
Universal Music Group, Sony, and Abu Dhabi Media. Google's an investor in it. They're the top channel on YouTube, by the way. Vivo provides all the music videos on YouTube, practically.
Very interesting. Yeah, I could totally see you watching this. I mean, VH1, I think for a while, maybe they still do, like between the hours of 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., they still play music videos. So this is a
VH1.
nice alternative. VH1, yeah. I don't think MTV plays any music anymore.
We were speaking about TiVo earlier. The TiVo Mini DVR extender is something that a lot of TiVo fans have been tempted by. Allows you to not have to put an actual TiVo in other rooms, but you can still access the hard drive, all of the shows that you've recorded on your main TiVo over your home network. It didn't have all the apps, though. It didn't have Amazon or Netflix. It had Hulu, oddly enough, but not Amazon or Netflix. People are reporting that both of those apps have now suddenly shown up on the Mini. And the Netflix one works. Apparently, the Amazon one hasn't worked for everybody who's reporting this.
Why wouldn't they have just added? I mean, it's a TiVo. It's not like they have to license it for, or do they? I mean,
Well,
is it
yeah,
per
they might.
device?
Maybe it's usually the thing that holds up Netflix is the implementation of the DRM. So maybe they were having problems. Maybe it was buggy
Gotcha.
getting the DRM
I could see that.
to run.
Well,
That's my
I
best
don't-
guess. Let's move on to Film Foul. Film Foul is all about the things we watch, some stuff you might actually want to watch. Have you seen this trailer for Joaquin Phoenix starring in Spike Jonze' Her?
I have, and I can't wait for this movie. Like, I heard a little bit of buzz about it, but then when I watched the trailer, I am totally in love with this concept. I love any kind of futuristic movie that kind of taps into emotional. I was thinking of, I know not a lot of people like the movie, but AI with Haley Joel Osment. Remember that film? Kind of thought of that, you know, where you have robots or machines having emotions. And I love Joaquin Phoenix, and I'm glad to see him come out of the other side of that weird thing he did a few years back.
He looks a
So
little
this
Walter
look-
White in this movie too, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it looks really great, and I think there's a positive message to it too. I mean, he's a guy that's kind of antisocial, and he's been through some hard times. And you have Scarlett Johansson as the voice of the operating system. That you know, I'm sure there's probably going to be a ton of Siri jokes about it, but it looks like a interesting, heartwarming, sweet film. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I agree. When I heard the concept, I thought, well, that sounds like it's been done before, but maybe it'll be interesting because it's an artificial intelligence that a man forms a bond with. So exactly like you're talking about AI. But when you watch this, what they did a really smart thing. Scarlett Johansson is the voice of the AI.
Right.
And what is she called? Samantha or something? Is that right?
Yeah, Samantha.
So when you first hear her talk, she's talking in a totally normal Scarlett Johansson voice. They didn't try to computer her up. She doesn't sound like Siri. She's not like, what would you like to do today? Or anything. Not even slightly that way. It's like, yes, this is the future where the AI has expression and emotion in the voice because it's programmed to.
Right.
So that
And
made
it's
it much more interesting.
Right now.
And she's asking him questions like she's learning and adapting and
Like an AI would.
exactly. Yeah. So I guess he's been in development with this before Siri even came out. What was it, 2009 or something like that?
Oh, no kidding. Oh.
Yeah. So it wasn't like Siri inspired the movie. The film was already an idea with Spike Jonze back in 2009, I think.
Ricky Gervais did a series on Channel 4 in the UK called Derek, which is now coming to Netflix here in the United States. It's not quite the same as the Breaking Bad thing where it airs in the UK and we get it the next day. It's not like that. It's already aired in the UK, but we are getting it on Netflix. And it looks kind of heartwarming, especially for Ricky Gervais, don't you think?
It does. It does. Is it the full season going to be, again, dumped into Netflix?
I think so. I think that's what they're going to do. That's my impression anyway.
I follow Ricky Gervais on Twitter, and he's gotten a lot of praise for it and a lot of people not praising him for it. So it looks
Bomburst in our chat room is saying it's not very good.
Oh,
And it looks good to me.
It looks sweet, and it's, you know, he has his friends. Of course, a lot of his friends are in the show. I have to say though, every time I see the icon, the lettering, I just quickly see it on my Twitter account, and I think of Psych, the show Psych, for some reason.
Really?
So yeah, it just quickly looks like it. But the show itself looks really adorable and heartwarming, and I can't wait to see Ricky Gervais in a different character. He was wonderful in The Office. I think we forget because we're in the U.S. We've kind of been jaded by the U.S. version of The Office, but go watch the UK version of The Office and be reminded of how awesome that show is. And really, it's just great. I love Ricky Gervais.
And our final film entry here is really interesting. The Weinsteins, Harvey Weinstein folks, are creating a series called Marco Polo, historical adventure based on Marco Polo visiting China, not about playing games in your pool.
I was going to say, it's not a bunch of kids in a pool.
It's not, yelling. No, not that. It's actually about the historical figure. And Netflix just stole it away from Starz. Apparently, it was in production for Starz, and Netflix came and got them to drop the rights. And now it's going to be on Netflix.
Do you think that's because of their Emmy nominations and people are taking Netflix shows a little bit more seriously?
No, I think it has to do with cash,
money,
and cash.
Money.
I think Starz got a little cheap. The Weinsteins got a little frustrated, made a little call to Netflix, said, hey, you guys got money. And Netflix said, oh, steal a Weinstein property from Starz? Where do I sign?
Yeah.
I'm in.
When's that supposed to be coming out? Do we know?
I don't know. It's in production, so it shouldn't be too long. It's expected to be released in 2014. So, and sometime within those 365 days. I don't know. All right. This next segment is new to the show, Nicole. We call it Scan Lines. And what it is I'll set up a topic, and we only get 60 seconds to talk about it.
Okay.
And once the buzzer goes off, we either have to move to the next topic, or you can, only one time, if you're really excited about the topic, extend it for another 60 seconds, okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
You only get to use that once if you want. You don't even have to. You ready, Jason?
I'm
ready.
And you're ready, Nicole. Good. All right.
I'm ready.
Let's start the scan lines. Apple topped a study of satisfaction for streaming services. Apple's iTunes squeaked out a win over Netflix, HBO Go, Amazon Instant Video, Crackle, and Hulu Plus with a score of 80. In fact, HBO Go took second place, tied with Netflix at 79, mostly, according to the people who produced the study, because people felt that iTunes was more reliable at playing. And they think maybe that's because iTunes caches a download so you can play it instantly and it doesn't stutter like a streaming service like Amazon or Netflix.
See, you got to use the service to be satisfied with it. And I never use Apple. I always use Netflix and HBO Go. I guess I'm just not ready to buy my shows that way yet.
I use it every once in a while. Like I said, I used it for Top Chef once. And when it works, it does work really well. Check out Forsee, F-O-R-E-S-E-E, if you want to know more about it. Roku's iOS app updated with user video streaming. So I tried this out today. You take the Roku app, which allows you to manage your channels and act as a remote control. And you can take anything in your camera app. So don't get too excited. You can't take all those torrents and put them on your Roku quite yet, straight from your iPhone. But kind of cool. I was able to take some home videos and play them up on the big screen. They'd already allowed you to do this with photos.
Well, and I can do this with AirPlay. So, I mean, I guess it's for the Roku people that want to put their videos. But can't you also put WAV and audio formats up there as well? Yeah,
that's true. You can put your music over there as well. So this could be the first step towards an AirPlay, like a more widespread AirPlay like function. I guess they're showing you can do it, or maybe Roku just wants to make sure they're not going to get in trouble if they do that.
Yeah, they're just tipping their toe in the water for any kind of legal ramifications, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Are we going to, is anybody going to, nobody's going to freak? Okay, we're going to bring out the AirPlay next. Thank you. Redbox also arriving on Roku. Redbox Instant Video Service. You can get the app in their app store. It's actually in the news section still right now. I checked earlier today if you're into Redbox. But now, I'm not just talking about the Redbox at your store, but also the instant streaming service. Are people using this? I know they're using the store, but
it seems like an inferior product compared to Netflix and the library of videos that you have available to you is not nearly what you can get with other services for the same cost, right? I mean, it's like what, $8, $9?
It only makes sense if you're getting the DVDs from the kiosks.
But
to me,
I'm lazy. I don't want to go to the kiosk.
Who wants to leave the house?
Well, I see people standing in line all the time. Like, I don't want to do that, right? I'll just have it sent to me. That's honestly
the biggest thing that keeps me away from Redbox is seeing people standing in line. I don't need to stand in line for a DVD. I don't even have a DVD player hooked up to my TV anymore.
And there's no guarantee you'll get the DVD you want because it's a very limited selection.
Yeah. CBS, of course, still a week later from our last update, still fighting Time Warner Cable in several large markets, including New York City. And Torrent Freak did a study to find out what effect it's having on torrents, and as you might expect, it has increased them. Of all sampled downloaders in the U.S. before the blackout, 10.9% came from blackout regions. After the blackout, for last week's episode of Under the Dome, that increased to 14.6% for Monday's episode. In fact, New York doubled its piracy rate to 1.3%, from 1.3% to 3%. Not a shocker, though, right, I guess?
Well, and I mean, I've been watching Under the Dome. This is a show that for me, it's just like, if it's on, it's on. People are actually, I guess, really into the show to pirate it, though I can't really see why.
Well, I think that's even more telling. Like a show that you could get on Amazon Instant Prime.
Yeah.
And but it's still driving piracy up. Good job, CBS.
Yay.
Netflix Super HD briefly showed up on Comcast, Verizon. This is kind of a hard one to explain, but essentially what Netflix does is they partner with ISPs and say, let us put a box in your data center so that we can improve streaming to your customers of Netflix, and then those customers will get Super HD and they'll want to pick your ISP. Comcast and Verizon have resisted this. In fact, Comcast has even called them dirty names for wanting to do it. For a brief period, Verizon and Comcast customers saw that Super HD option, but then it went away. So
I have Super HD. I've seen that on a few of the shows that I watch.
Yeah, I have Verizon Fios, and I don't get it.
Oh, well, and honestly, this is for the people that notice, and I really don't notice. It's streaming. A lot of times it's kids programs. They look like crap anyway. So let's put that in Super HD, right? So
you don't need to see every line of every animation.
No. But I think it's a step in the right direction to have better streaming. And you're not supposed to notice that stuff, right? So.
Yeah. And finally, Comcast testing a cloud DVR app for iOS, bringing live TV and recordings to mobile. According to Fierce Cable, the iOS app is in iTunes already. You have to be kind of taking a beta approach to it. It's Comcast Labs DVR app. And right now you have to have a Comcast internet connection to be able to use it. But Comcast says eventually they're going to say you can download recordings off of the cloud DVR. You won't have to have a box in your house, and you'll be able to watch them even when you're away from your home.
This seems too good to be true. I feel like they're toying with us on this kind of stuff. Like they're
Cablevision broke the legal ground for this. So I think it's the first of the other non-Cablevision companies to be willing to say, okay, courts ruled this legal, put your DVR on the cloud. Why wouldn't we do it? Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess when you finally when's it supposed to be implemented soon, or it's just testing it right now?
No
date.
Just testing.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll see it when I believe, or I'll believe it when I see it.
I'll see it when I believe it. That's what I'm going with Lisa. There you go. That's Scanlines. How do you feel about that? Did it work
I
for
love
you?
it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Boom, boom, boom.
Good. I'm glad you like it. We like it too. Seems like people like it. Let's check in on the summer movie draft. Yeah, so my last chance, I blew it. In fact, Planes didn't even get half of what the Smurfs 2 got at the box office. Nobody cared about Planes.
Really?
Yeah.
Nobody cared about Planes. They cared more about Smurfs 2 than Planes.
Yes.
That's
That is
sad.
what I'm saying. No.
But then
When we
again,
get-
it is kind of Cars 3 with Planes, isn't it?
My gamble was that people wouldn't notice that it wasn't Pixar and they wouldn't care about it being 2 Cars-like, and people would be looking for a kids movie right now. But the kids movies have pizzled out. Usually they do well. The one time I won the winter movie draft was on the back of Alvin and the Chipmunks movie, which everyone
interesting.
mocked me for buying. But do you have any insight into why the kids movies would not be doing as well suddenly?
Well, maybe Despicable Me 2 took all the money. I mean, it's expensive to take your kids out.
It did take $338 million.
Yeah.
So, okay. Maybe that's
and
it.
not to mention, I mean, Netflix streaming. Why not just throw up a movie on Netflix streaming, a new movie? Or, you're getting these video on demands where you can just watch, pretty new movies at home. So maybe that's what's going on with the families.
Yeah, I
can
think
see
you're
that.
right. I think it's a combination. I think they decided to spend their money and their time on Despicable Me 2 and then said, look, we've got Netflix for a reason. We're not going to go see Planes. It's not even Cars. Right.
We're going to watch a knockoff version called Vehicles or Aircraft.
One of those Netflix knockoffs. That's exactly what they did. Damn it, you people. Next week, Kick-Ass 2, Sarah Lane's movie, comes out, and we will see what happens there. But really, this is all over but the counting. Brian Brushwood has $959 million. Second place is Justin Robert Young with $680 million. I'm not going to even catch Justin. There's no way Justin's going to catch Brian. He's won. He even has the last movie of the year in The World's End. So
Scott's not going to catch anyone. He's done.
Oh, poor Scott's back there
Poor Scott.
as well.
This is awesome. I love watching this. I want to know how I get into this next time.
All right. Well, I know a guy. His name's Brian. Well, I'll talk to her. Let's see what we're watching.
What we're watching.
What we're watching is what we're watching. It's pretty self-explanatory. Let's start with our guest, Ms. Spagnolo. What stuff have you been watching lately?
So the new season of Hell on Wheels is going to be starting up, I believe, on Saturday. It's funny. It's hard to keep track of since you don't really watch them live. But the first 2 seasons are streaming on Netflix. So my husband started watching it, and inadvertently I got sucked into the show. So we've been catching up on Hell on Wheels, and we finally caught up last night, in fact. And it's a hell of a ride, Hell on Wheels.
On wheels.
But yeah. But it's an AMC show. If you're familiar with Deadwood, it is a much toned down version. And in fact, if you watch them kind of side by side, you might not even enjoy Hell on Wheels. So because it's made for not the HBO audience, it's made for the AMC audience. But still, it's a great story.
Deadwood, it's Heck on Wheels.
It's Heck on Wheels. Exactly. They should have called it Heck on Wheels. But it's a story of a traveling town that they're building the railroad from the east to the west coast, and there's all this kind of drama, and there's some cool storylines and some pretty evil people in the show, and I'm enjoying the show, but it's a hard show to watch at times.
We were talking about it before the show, and I started watching Hell on Wheels. I think I got about 4 episodes in, and it just fell off my priority list to watch, and started building up on the DVR. And I think then we changed our DVR machine and never reset the pass or something, because now we don't even have it anymore.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's a good show. I like it. But
had you not seen Better Off Ted?
No, I hadn't. that has been one of the shows that I've been meaning to watch, and I finally got around to it. And I needed a comedy because when you watch a very serious show right before bed, I need what is called a comedy chaser. And Better Off Ted is my comedy chaser to Hell on Wheels. So I watch an episode of Hell on Wheels, and then I watch 1 to 2 episodes of Better Off Ted. And I am so upset that I missed this when it first came out because I really wish there were more than 2 seasons available on Netflix. This would be an amazing show to bring back. From that and Pushing Daisies it's up in that category for me.
I love that show. Yeah.
So Better Off Ted, hilarious.
What is Gavin and Stacey?
So I get recommendations from people all the time, and someone on Twitter recommended that I check out Gavin and Stacey, and it's a comedy from the UK, and it's about a couple that have been talking together for 6 months, but they've never met. So you start the first episode, them meeting in London, and it's a quirky, funny, really great sitcom that I'm in love with now. So,
and I've watched
fun.
1 episode of Orange is the New Black, and I just can't seem to get it together with Eileen to watch more of them. So I haven't watched any more of them. How far into it are you?
I'm on the 5th episode, and I absolutely love this show. The female characters are so layered and so complex, and you get a little bit of back history with certain inmates for each episode. So like episode 2, you get more of Red. She's the cook. You get more
Captain
of her
Janeway.
backstory. Yeah. And the 3rd episode, you get more of the backstory of one of the hairstylists. And it's creating a compelling story as you're kind of following Piper, the main girl, through her 15 months of incarceration and in this female penitentiary. I was a huge fan of Oz, so I'm always waiting for an Oz moment, and it never happens because they're making sure that you understand that this is not Oz, this is not what goes on in prison. So I would like to think that they're giving a more, because it's based off of a book that it was a true story. She really did go to prison, and this was kind of her biography or her reenactment or whatever of those events. So they've embellished it a little bit of it, but it's a great show. Orange is the New Black.
I've been watching all the same things that I normally watch.
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking about these every week. Continuum, Under the Dome. Last week I mentioned Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm in season 3 of that. Still loving it. But I have to admit something embarrassing, Nicole.
Yes.
I had never watched Anchorman.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a great. Are you preparing for
I quoted
Anchorman
it all
2?
the time because I'd seen bits of it here and there. Well, you know what it was? It was old media worked in this case. I got my wife subscribes to Entertainment Weekly, and Anchorman 2 was on the front cover. And I realized, you know what? I've never seen Anchorman. So I went to Can I Stream It? canistream.it. And I said, okay, I was alone. My wife was at work on a Saturday morning. I said, where can I watch Anchorman? HBO Go.
Well,
They had it on HBO Go. So I finally watched it. I had no idea how many phrases that are currently like cliches at this point came from that movie. It's insane.
Did you like the first viewing? Because I have to admit, I did not like it the first time around. I saw it in the theater, and it wasn't until probably my 3rd or 4th viewing that it just kind of grew on me and kept growing. And now it's one of my favorite films.
Now it's like a mold.
Exactly. I have to ask you though, with your Always Sunny in Philadelphia, have you gotten to the episode where Danny DeVito makes a sandwich in his mouth?
No.
It
Spoiler alert.
It happens in like the first 5 minutes, but it's a great episode, and I can't wait for you to see it. It's so funny.
No, I think the one I just watched was where they got taken hostage. That was in the bar. So I'm barreling ahead though, fast as I can. Now it's time for feedback.
Now it's time for feedback with Brian and Tom on Frame Rate. Oh yeah.
Feedback is where we read stuff you've written to us. Framerate@twit.tv. And I want to start with, oh man, I'm so sorry. I forgot to copy over the person's name. I'll figure it out while you react to it, Nicole. Who I will tell you it is soon, said, don't know if you saw this, but you can get NFL Sunday Ticket streaming, great for cord cutters, for $100 with this offer. You also get the new Madden game. If you don't want the game, sell it, and NFL streaming is even cheaper. It says no subscription to DirecTV is required in the FAQ. And I looked at the FAQ. It's really odd, actually. If you have DirecTV, you get the streaming of the NFL free with the game for $99 on your laptop, your computer, and your tablet, but nothing else. You have to pay for NFL Sunday Ticket. If you don't have DirecTV and you subscribe to DirecTV, you get $10 off a month plus free NFL Sunday Ticket. And if you don't have DirecTV and don't want DirecTV, you still get free streaming to your computer, your tablet, and your phone. So, I mean, if you have AirPlay, you could stream it on your laptop and then just AirPlay it to your television.
So $100 and you get this? Because
it's funny. He says $100 for the NFL and then you get this free game. It's actually the other way around. You buy the game for $99 and then you get the free NFL Sunday Ticket.
Because I just canceled our Sunday Ticket payment schedule. There was going to be like 6 payments on DirecTV for $60 each. And I was like, Mark ended up doing some kind of rewind service where he can, like, the next day watch the game. And that's what he's doing in place of the Sunday Ticket, because by December we're going to cut that cord with DirecTV. So this is interesting. I'll have to show this to him, and maybe he'll be able to watch the games.
You can also, if you have with your PlayStation, you can spend like $300 and get NFL Sunday Ticket without a cable subscription on the PlayStation. It's expensive, I know.
Yeah, that is expensive. Well, it's expensive no matter what. So I remember last year they were running a deal where, because the NFL was on strike, and you could, was it last year or maybe it was a year before, but they were giving Sunday Ticket away for free, but it was only for new customers. So that kind of was lame.
Mike in North Carolina wrote in regarding Under the Dome getting renewed, and he was not the only one. Several people wrote in with the same observation. I thought this was a 13-episode miniseries about the book. It seems like they will have to really stretch out the book or keep making story changes to keep it alive for a second season. Do you two have any feelings on this?
That just makes me groan, because why does it seem like every time Stephen King puts his name, because it's Stephen King's Under the Dome. It seems like when he puts his name with the show, it gets really weird and cheesy.
That's a good point.
I don't know why it happens, but I'm a huge fan of Stephen King, but I am not a fan of this show. I would rather read the book and just be done with it and forget that this was ever made.
Well, see, I've never read the book, so I'm on the fence with the show. At times, I think it's pretty great. At least the overall mystery seems to be pretty great. But of course, that's the book.
Yeah.
And then the execution is spotty. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
The writing and the acting sometimes make me groan.
Uneven at best.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Haven, though. Now, Haven is based on a short story, The Colorado Kid. It's very different from the short story because it's an entire series, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a great job with Haven, and it doesn't say Stephen King's Haven either.
Right. So, it was also Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure what they're going to do with making it into a second season. That doesn't seem, it seems like they're trying to just squeeze whatever they have out of it. So
he's trying to squeeze your ratings out of you, your eyeballs. That's what they're doing. We do something called the Chicken Challenge. I alluded to it earlier in the show, where Brian Brushwood began this challenge by saying he called Time Warner Cable because he was angry and wanted to cancel the service. And he was impressed how hard they tried to keep him, what kind of deal they were willing to give him to keep him as a customer, essentially almost paying him to be a customer. Mm. And so he challenged people, like, call, especially if you're thinking about cutting the cord, call now and see what they'll give you. And we've had people for almost a couple months now telling us the stories. So I started a Google Plus section called the Frame Rate Chicken Challenge. You can find it on Google Plus. We'll link to it in the show notes as well. And we've got people in there now sharing their stories with each other. So the best part is, not only will we get these stories all together so you can read them about what kind of offers people did, what kind of offers people didn't get. So sometimes they don't get offers at all. But then you can comment on each other and exchange, share information, maybe even share some tips. I was sharing that NFL information with somebody earlier on this page. So go sign up for the Frame Rate Chicken Challenge at Google Plus. Just do plus.google.com and do a search for it. Are you gonna? Do you think you'll do the challenge, or
I
are you
will,
just
but
gonna
well,
cut?
considering we're cutting the cord, it
Yeah.
would be fun because DirecTV, we've done this in the past where we were like, oh, we're gonna cancel, and we've kind of done our own version of the chicken challenge. And the nice thing is, you can, even if you're not intending to, you still have options if you have to go through with it.
Yeah.
So, and then I have friends that have cut the cord, and then like a month later, they get cable again. So they still want you as a customer.
An email from Wariota in Montreal. He cut the cord in 2003. Said that's the
Nice.
same year he cut his home phone for obvious reasons for a then bachelor. Anyway, he says, born and raised in the radio music world, TV had a fair appeal. But what happened when he cut the cord was he found YouTube. He found Vimeo. He found Twit. He found Netflix. He found podcasts. And even though he was missing things, he was missing certain shows, he was missing sports, he says, a man had to make a choice. Slowly erasing sports entertainment out of my life, saving gazillions of dollars was worth it. Once I realized I was addicted, I slowly worked on it, and I am clean now. So a lot of people say, oh, I can't cut the cord because of sports. So here's one guy saying, no. You think you can't get sports, but you can do without it. You can still enjoy sports, and you don't have to be watching them all the time on TV. Join me, and together we cut the cord.
And the landscape is completely different with getting sports entertainment than it was back in 2003. So you have options. We were just talking about one of them with the NFL. So there are ways to get your entertainment. I mean, isn't that what sports bars are for too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Go and drink. No, I mean, go be around other people and enjoy their company. We got one from Dave. Dave called Time Warner Cable, intending to cancel cable. Customer support representative did not make any offers to get him to stay. He said, and I didn't ask for any. She was pleasant to deal with, but my bill has now gone down from $148 to $52 because Monday, he called on Friday, Monday, I got a call from customer loyalty. They wanted me to stay with Time Warner Cable and offered me basic cable and upgraded internet from 15 megabytes 2 megabytes up to 20 megabytes down, 3 megabytes up. New price now $47 a month.
Nice.
So,
well, I think, wasn't that what we were just talking about?
He went through the challenge, and instead of backing off when they didn't give him a deal, said, good, cut it. And they were bluffing. They called him back 2 days later.
Well, they gave him the basic package and internet.
And
So we
better
were talking
internet.
about that. Yeah, we were talking that at the top of the show. You know, why are the cable companies not having a decrease in numbers as the satellite? So maybe the retention people are working a little bit more harder for those customers.
They're giving it away, exactly. And Snaky Dave, he cut the cord with AT&T and Uverse about a year ago. And when he called to cancel, they didn't do anything to try to keep him. He set up a huge over-the-air antenna on a 12-foot pole on his roof, bought a channel master. Now he signed up with Cox Cable Internet, and just last month they called him to say they're having a special on his street where they would give him basic cable, about 30 channels, for free for a year. It's exactly what you're talking about, Nicole.
Yeah, exactly.
They just said, look, you're one of our internet customers. We'd really like to count you as a cable TV, so just let us give it to you, okay?
Isn't that what magazines do? They want you as, you know, I'll give you this subscription, this year subscription to this magazine for $5.
Yeah, we need to goose our subscriber numbers, okay? So just take it. It's crazy. All right, well, that brings us to the end of a fine episode of Frame Rate. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Oh, thank you for having me. I had an absolute blast.
It was really fun having you on. Don't forget that recommendals.com, also the Recommendals segment, which frankly is on the best day of the morning stream on Wednesdays, I believe.
Wednesdays are great.
You agree? Yeah.
I do. I have a great partner in crime that helps me out with those segments.
Oh yeah, the segment that comes after is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I guess, if you like me doing tech news. But yeah, I've always loved Recommendals ever since you first started doing it on the Movielicious. So I'm glad you've kept that alive. It's a great way I always find out about some cool new stuff that way. Or even if I don't find out new stuff, you always bring up something that I'd forgotten about. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great movie. That's a great show.
There's some great stuff out there. Thanks.
And if you're into gaming, tell folks about Ladies of Leet.
Yeah, I do a video game podcast with Kimberly Price and Stephanie, and we talk about video games every Thursday at ladiesleap.com. And then I also do one with Scott Johnson and Brian Dunaway called The Final Score, and we do that every Friday. So I'm playing a lot of video games, watching a lot of movies. It's fun.
And honestly, if you're into woodworking, her husband does this amazing show that's like the best woodworking show ever called Wood Whisper. So you should check that out.
Yeah, on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube. Do
all the things. And you can also email us, framerate@twit.tv. You can find us live on Mondays at live.twit.tv. And you can find all of our information on the website, twit.tv/FR. Will Brian Brushwood return next week for Frame Rate? Tune in and find out. We'll see you then.